I come from an unchurched background, and my coming to faith in Jesus was literally a mountaintop experience. It was while I was training to be an outward bound instructor in the Cairngorms of Scotland, walking the hills, climbing the mountains, canoeing the rivers and sailing the seas, that there was a dawning realization that behind this magnificent creation was a creator God who had made himself known in Jesus. And the outdoors and creation and just experiencing the beauty of God's world has always been an important part of my life and my faith. And when I went back to the Outward Bound School and began those early days of discovering what it meant to follow this Jesus, I read about a Jesus who was always outdoors, occasionally in synagogues, but mostly kind of walking and meeting with people outside in their workplaces, traveling between different towns and villages and hamlets, lots of conversations with people outdoors. And I've always appreciated the outdoors because that's been my significant place of encounter with Jesus through the years. Because whether it's walking or biking or canoeing or sailing, those things give me time and space to seek God, to reflect, to pray, to listen to God and to listen to my own heart. And it also gives me space to find inspiration and creativity. I love people, very social being, but I'm an introvert. In Myers-Briggs terms, I'm INFP. So space and aloneness is really important in my relationship with God and deepening and developing my faith. One of my favourite sports is sailing. And, when I was an outward bound instructor, give me an ordnance survey map. And I was very familiar with the kind of, the signs and symbols and contours. And I could traverse and, get myself around places. Then I was introduced to sailing and given a maritime chart, and it was something totally different. And it was like new landscape, it was new things to learn, new adventures. And that to me is what faith in Jesus is all about. It's like a whole new world opens up for you. A whole new kind of sea and an ocean to explore is before you. And Jesus invites us to come aboard, to come under his kind of skippering and to learn new things, to realize that life is not kind of going from A to B, but actually you have to tack and you have to, traverse storms and you have to go through the currents and turbulence of life, but with Christ at the center and drawing from him and all the spiritual disciplines that God has given, which don't have to be exercised purely in a church building. I'm much more comfortable outside of church buildings, kind of outside the walls of the church, in the world, and particularly for space and reflection and prayer and meditating upon scripture out in the outdoors. So I encourage you, go for a walk, listen, learn to play what the Celts described as the 5-stringed harp, which is learning to listen to our senses, to look around us, to listen to the babbling brook, the stream, the small waterfall, to kind of feel the leaves, the rotting leaves from autumn, and see the emergence of the fresh buds of spring. Kind of taste things, be aware and alert to our physical, mental and spiritual elements to our lives. And in those ways be open to God.